I have to say that since that festival, since the last time we saw, many things have changed in the world. How do you feel and how do you see those changes?
I mean, like everyone, I guess it's a lot of anxiety, but also a lot of excitement for the opportunities that it puts in front of our eyes. It's a time of confusion, but at the same time, kind of like an idea that something new can be born from that. It's the transition time, probably a new era of humanity and politics, and I don't know, it's equally frightening as it is exciting, I think.
I have to say that that changes. I can feel it in Goliath.
Yeah.
I always admire the people that don't make the same thing every time that they make music or that make any kind of artistic piece. And Goliath is quite different of any songs of the Golden Age. How do you came to do this song?
Well, so there's 7 years between these two records. So of course that changed, and my perception of the world has been transformed. So I think it's normal that the music is a bit different, but it's also an album where I wanted to talk a bit more about the world and be a bit more of a commentator of the world, or a bit more of a, make something that was a bit more aligned with the world in a way. So it is less of a fairy tale, and it's a bit more of a reality, probably, in a way. It's more sexualized, it's a bit more urban, not necessarily in the way that it has anything to do with, hip hop or trap or anything like that, but it's more urban, as in a way that it has more to do with the city, with the concrete, maybe. I don't know.
Well, in the video is very tangible, that it's more like a concrete, but also with the lyrics and the theme. I think that while the Golden Age is like an epic goodbye of all times, Goliath is more like a regret of the present, of another future that is being built.
I think I don't think it's much. It has to do with regrets at all. I think it's more of a, the idea of Goliath is actually, I think the concept of it is by nature full of hope. It's more about a world where it's maybe a fantasy, but I hope it's not. It's maybe about a world where the dominated and the weak and the people that we call the little people can actually beat the beast and beat the bigger forces. I think it's in that way Goliath is much more hopeful than you think, and the album in general.
Mm-hmm. All the album will be with this thematic, will be more like concrete, more like in the present and in the city.
Yeah, definitely. It all gravitates around this idea that I'm fantasizing and dreaming of a world where that balance of forces can be inverted.
Mm-hmm.
So you can read it as a massive environmental challenge, as you can read it as, love relationships and there's all these contrasts and these things that are faster and faster and bigger in the world that we live in. Can read it as many different ways.
I think that this dynamic of faster and faster is getting a little stopped by this pandemic and the lockdown. Yeah. How do you feel the world right now, from the time you composed and inspired Goliath and the other songs of the album, from all the experience and all the things are going on right now?
I mean, I've always been very sensitive to these ideas of toxicity in the air, and the idea, but not just this virus toxicity, but also toxicity of, of words, of, the rise of the far right, the decline of the idea of democracies in some people's mind. All these things are things that are in my head for a long time, and I think the world right now is just an extent of all this. It's just a logical evolution of this madness that we live in. And I think that, when I started to write this record, it's a time where I started to be more sensitive to this, and now more than ever, it's just a continuity. I don't see this pandemic as that much as a surprise, to be honest. It's a lot of people have talked about these things for a long time, and if it was not a virus, it would be something else. But there's points of rupture that are very sensitive in the air. You know, there's signs everywhere, signs of people starting to be more and more angry about this acceleration of things. I think it's all about this somehow.
I'm listening to you and I'm thinking about that song of Leonard Cohen named "The Future" that says that love is the only engine of survival. Yeah. And I always think that your music has a lot of love. Yeah. You are a very lovable artist, and you want to transmit that to the people.
I think there's no point in talking seriously about the darkness of the world if you don't inject a lot of hope and light in it. I think you'd better not speak. Everybody knows. Everybody reads the news. Everybody knows. I don't think there's not a single person on this planet that doesn't know what's happening. There's people that pretend to not see it and keep on doing what they do, but everyone knows. You know, I think there's no commentary possible as an artist if you don't inject not an idea of a solution, but at least an idea of perspective to it. And I think in my case, the idea of love and this idea of beauty and brightness in a very romantic way is my way of balancing these themes.
It's a way to sabotage the reality, to talk about another thing.
I don't think it's sabotage. I think there's a lot of love in reality. It's just about, okay, if I'm pointing this, I'm also going to point that, because they can still coexist. And I wouldn't be cynical at thinking like talking about love is a sabotage of reality. I would say it's actually also showing something about reality that exists and that we have to grasp as much as possible.
Well, there is the music and lyric things in your all your proposal, but also all the aesthetics things, and I also recognize that in this new production you are quite away of the things you made in the Golden Age. What was all the creative process of these new aesthetics things?
Well, I think on the first record, I've always wanted to make music that was not using the classical elements of radio, pop, FM music. So no drums, no bass, no guitars, and always find alternative sounds. On the first record, I went to more tribal and wooden percussions. On this one, I went more for the industrial, for the metal in a way. And I think that it did trigger these images of industrial spaces very quickly. I knew that there was something about the industry, because the industry in the industrial world is the ideal subject to talk about the scale of the world, the madness and the geniusness of humans and what they can build, and the fascination for what they can build, but also the madness of it. But when you talk about it, you also talk about the very tiny humans that are within it and that are crushed by the scale of these things. And I think that there's no point talking about the massive if you don't talk about the intimate. It goes with this idea of the speed of the world and the relationship of love in it. It's about the relationship of the gigantic and the unbeatable and these crazy machines. And in the middle of it, talking about a tiny little human that maybe can make the difference.
Well, you are not light. You are not so tiny, not some little human. I have followed your steps in the last 7 years, and besides all, you are a talented director. You are always doing things. You are so kind of hyperactive.
Not that much. I mean, it's 7 years. Count the projects I did in 7 years. It's not that much. 7 years is a long time. I also know how to take time to do nothing. I do believe myself that I procrastinate a lot too. I've been working very hard in the past 2-3 years on that record specifically, because it is a lot of work to make a record. But I keep myself busy, but you know, it's not like I'm also passionate about it. It's a chance and it's a luck that's incredible. So I feel like I have to honor that luck by making as much as possible and telling stories, because that's what people expect from me. And also, you know, it's never painful. I mean, it's painful sometimes, but it's nothing. It's just chance and just luck, really. So I just, you know, I just do it.
I was reading yesterday on your social media that you have to postpone and to cancel some of your presentation because all of this. But you can tell me, how is it the live act right now? Because I remember the one that you made with the Golden Age, and it was amazing. Very difficult to produce, but amazing. So this one, what kind of difference will we be watching in the live act?
I won't reveal too much about it, because revealing about it would be revealing too much of the record itself. But also, I should right now be rehearsing the live show. This is also one of the reasons why we're postponing, because of the crisis. We're not allowed to gather in spaces right now in France, so we won't be ready on time. And also, France will still be in lockdown in this summer. So I still have to figure out some things, you know. I'm still working on it. Everything still takes shape until the last moment, and even during the tour itself, you know, that's what's amazing about live, is that it's a shape-shifting form. So I won't say too much, but what people can expect it. Always, you know, I'm trying to push the boundaries with that record of emotion and entertainment and storytelling. So it would be, you know, faithful to what I do, but a bit more.
Mm-hmm.
And color, that I can tell. It won't be a black and white show. The first tour was all black and white, from the lights to the costumes to the, now we have color, and I'm playing with color.
Mm-hmm. I will note that if we have the chance to see you again here in Guadalajara,
yeah,
I have to let's make it.
Yeah.
I have to congratulate yourself, because you went to a million views on YouTube of the Goliath video
very quickly.
And
I'm super happy.
And you, well, it's a great song, and it's everywhere. But I have to ask you, how and when we will going to listen all the new songs of this record?
You're way too curious. You're way too curious. You'll see. I can't tell you anything. All I can tell is that I'm working on some kind of another way. I'm trying something on this record is to tell the stories in a deeper way around my record. So I made this whole quest online that we started with the first single, and it all goes around the aesthetic of the company that I built around the record. And the first song, and this quest, the people that are very invested in this quest. I know there's an amazing group on Discord of a lot of people already trying to dig into that world I've created for the past years. And the people that really dig into this might be awarded sooner than the others.
Well,
so if people really want to know, they should start to kind of put their nose in it.
Well, we have to have a little patience.
Yeah, always. But I said the record would be out in 2020, and it will be out in 2020. That I can promise.
Well, we will wait for that. Joan, my time is running out, so I have only one last question. Okay. How do you see the world for the end of 2020? Not in the political and social and economic way. How do you feel about the people will we gather between the music and between the arts?
It's very hard to say. I don't know. What I can, you know, nobody knows really. Even the most knowledgeable scientists don't know. So how would I know? But what I know is what can I hope for that I know, and what can I hope for is maybe a world where we don't give up on live performance. I say that as an artist, but also as a viewer, you know, as someone who loves to go to concerts. I don't want to give up on that. I hope we go back to sharing music and arts together in the performance space as much as possible and as soon as possible. I hope the governments take the right actions to make it possible, because I think we all need art and storytelling. And I think maybe because we're on the edge of losing a lot of things on that level, more, of course, important things, but I think art is important. I don't think it should be left on the side of all the count of the things we're losing in this. And I think that if we realize how precious this is, maybe next time we see each other on stage, we put our phones down a little bit, maybe, and we leave it for the flesh of it and for the organic reality of it, and less for a virtual projection of it. I think that social medias are amazing. They're proving once again how amazing they can be right now. But I think if we manage to make a bit more of a separation between things and not, experience everything always the same way, I think it will be amazing. This is what I can pray for. And I think I will be less ashamed of asking people to put their phones down next time I'm on stage. Not for me, but for them, and for the time we spend together. So maybe that's one thing I can hope for. If that's a little win we get, I think it's going to be great, because I can tell you the next show is going to be fucking amazing.
Well, we are also not giving up the chance of seeing you again in Mexico, in Guadalajara, and to hear with there's a bunch of people that will be also singing along all these new records, but also all your other songs, and they are willing to see you again. I can assure you that.
A little personal scoop. I now have family in Mexico because my niece is Mexican, so I'm going to spend a lot of time in Mexico.
When you come here, please tell us. I want to see you in person again, and to hug you.
I'll make sure the label tells you.
Well, Joan, it was a pleasure to talk with you again.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, guys.
Goodbye.
Bye, my friend. Talk soon.